Hello, I want to welcome you in. Today, we're going to be talking about hazardous driving conditions. I want to welcome you in. I'm a state certified driving instructor, and today everything was shut down because we had hazardous driving situations. So, I want to take you through this process and get you going. So, let's go ahead and get it. Visibility, your ability to see, is very important. You got to be able to clean your windows, your front, driver's side, your passenger side, your front windshield, your rear window. If you can't see, then it's very dangerous to go out and drive. Next, the weather conditions. We had a satellite weather report that the conditions were going to be very bad. So, as a result, schools were canceled, small businesses were canceled, colleges were canceled. So, you've got to pay attention to the weather report. Next, loss of vehicle control. We're not just talking about snow or random rain. This is freezing rain that will freeze on the roadways. And as we know, if you've been driving for a bit, elevated surfaces such as bridges, overpasses freeze first. Why? They're elevated. And when you have that cold air blowing through, it will freeze and become very hazardous. Next, let's talk about loss of vehicle control. People normally drive at the speed limit. If it's 70, they're about 70, 72, 73. But when it's icy and cold and freezing rain, and then you have black ice, you can't see on the road. And this becomes very dangerous. So everything was shut down. How do you control the consequences? You've got to be smart enough not to drive. Only get out and drive if you have to. If you're a high school or college student, your college campus may be closed today. We adults, it depends on your job. And if you drive for a living, and I do drive for a living at one of my jobs, I'm going to have to cancel my drives tonight because it is very dangerous, not just for teen drivers, but for all of us. And then we have anti lock brakes. Many of the newer cars are equipped starting around 2010 with anti lock brakes. You would hit the brake, and then you would feel like pulsating back and forth. That pedal would pulsate, and then the computer would control the car down. If you don't have anti-lock brakes, you have to pump the brake just before a lockup. And then, unfortunately, collisions do happen. Did you know this time of year, um, a lot of things do happen, and as a result of this, uh, we have people who profit from this. Uh, Collisions happen at collision shops, January, February, March, even April, profit because there's bad weather, there's snow, there's ice. People forget to have common sense and drive, and as a result, there are collisions. So, body shop business goes up this time of year. Are you required to have your headlights on? Yes, you are. 30 minutes after sunset and 30 minutes before sunrise. More cars today are equipped with daytime running lights. And if you have daytime running lights, it's a safety feature that allows you to be seen by others. And you see more automotive manufacturers having those daytime running lights. Let's continue. What is a good speed to be driving, and what is the speed that headlights are designed for? About 40 to 45 miles an hour. If you're going faster than 40 or 45 miles an hour, you are over driving your headlights. This is when you're going too fast for the conditions. And if you go too fast for the conditions, you won't be able to see. When should you turn off your high beam lights? Approaching vehicles at about 500 feet. You, as a driver, if you have headlights on in early evening and you don't cut off your brights, you could basically blind the person. So you want to look on the right side of the road. There's a white, thick line. It's called the edge line or fog line. And in that edge line or fog line, this is where you look momentarily to keep your car square in the lane. So you use that edge line to help you guide. And a lot of beginning drivers and older drivers stare at the lights and we're momentarily blinded for 2.5 to 3.5 seconds. And that's when an accident could happen. You want to minimize the glare on the road. You can wear sunglasses, but remember, sunglasses reduce visible light going into our eyes, and then you won't be able to see. And also, there's sun glare. You can use a sun visor to shield some of the light from your eyes. I also don't want my students to turn that visor out to the left because you won't be able to see cars coming from the left. If you're enjoying this, give it a thumbs up. Don't let your windshield get dirty, because if it's dirty, you're going to have glare. You always want to have that routine maintenance to check your windshield wiper blades every couple of weeks. Make sure your windows are clean inside and outside. Keep clean windows and headlights and taillights so you can see and be seen. Don't leave items on the dashboard. They can cause glare. And when you have glare, you won't be able to see as clearly. And we know about every year you should be getting your eyes checked. Driving in rain or snow, you want to keep your car clear, keep your headlights clear, windows clear, and taillights clear. You want to wipe off any available snow that is on your car. We're not only going to have sleet and ice today, we could possibly get up to 3 inches of snow. And there are a lot of states where people don't have snow. There are a lot of people who listen to my content. They're in other countries. So snow, and we have all four seasons, summer, spring, winter, and fall. Snow is a very serious situation, and you need to learn how to drive in that. You also want to use your front and rear defrosters. There is a blower engine inside the dashboard, and warm air from the engine and water come in, and warm air is blown up on the front windows and the rear windows. Is usually an electric defroster where there's a small, thin aluminum thread that goes along the rear window, and you push a button, and then it's electrical, and it pushes out electrical current that heats up the back window. In the front, you have a blower motor that blows that warm air on the front window. So it takes a few minutes to get in your car and get it warmed up. Driving in the rain is the next hazard. You want to make sure you hold your wheel firmly. You want to try to drive in the tracks of other cars. This applies through all states. And if you're watching this, or in even other countries, you can use this to prep for your knowledge test, your driving test, routine maintenance. I did post a question in there. Do you have your car yet? Type it in and let me know. Maintenance is really important on your vehicle. So if you're driving through high water, usually the first couple of minutes, this is when it is most slick. You want to reduce your speed because the oil, diesel fuel, mud, grit on the road mixes into a really thick paste. And in that thick paste, you'll slide. After about 10 or 15 minutes, that oil, grit, mud, diesel fuel, whatever's leaking on the ground will wash off to the side. Does that mean you can drive faster? Of course not. You want to take your time. After a few minutes, all that material will be washed to the side. So this is why you don't want to drive out of the groove, because you'll hit all that debris and you'll slide. So that's really important. What is hydroplaning? Hydroplaning is a thin film of water that your tire rides up on, and it is literally rolling on water. So how do you know there's hydroplaning? If there are a lot of bubbles that you see on the road, there's water splashing out. So you should try to drive in the tracks of other vehicles. If you feel your car kind of sliding left or right, you want to lift your foot. You never want to hit the brakes really hard or accelerate really fast, because you could lose traction. And if you lose traction, you're going to go off the road. So reduce your speed and take your time. Minimize hydroplaning. Take your time. Be patient when you're out there. So you don't want to accelerate through the water. You want to be really smooth. You want to ease off the gas. You want to coast until you regain traction. What are the most common factors of vehicle loss when you're in hazardous conditions? This is rain, this is water, this is snow. Quick, sudden, jerky movements. You never want to jerk the steering wheel. I'm going to show you the steering wheel. I have this for an example. You want to be smooth, driving your car, looking ahead. If you jerk the wheel, the rear of the car will spin to the left. If you jerk it to the right, the rear will spin to the right. The front will go out to the left. You want to maintain a nice grip. You want to look ahead. You want to look for conditions on the road that could cause you to slip. You want to look for other drivers hitting the brakes. Look at those brake lights. You want to go smoothly around the curve. And if you're losing control, lift your foot a little bit. Let that rear of the car settle back down on the ground. Foggy conditions. This is a common condition. You want to be patient. You want to turn on, never use your high beams because you're thinking, hey, I can use my high beams. No, because those high beams will reflect the fog particles and water particles back into your eyes. So you have to drive with low beam headlights on. Okay, never use your high beams. Some cars are equipped with fog lights. If possible, lower your window. You want to listen for traffic coming. You want to hear people. You don't want to have your music on too loud. Use your defroster. We talked about this. The defroster, there's a blower motor, and there is a heater core that is about this big. Water is pushed in through the cooling system. The heater core heats up, and you have a fan that is spinning that blows through the heater core, and that heat comes up into the car to keep you warm. That heat comes up into the car to the front window. So you got to make sure your heating, cooling system are up to par. If this is bringing you value, give it a thumbs up. You have to clean up your car in the morning. We've all been there, going to work, going to school. You're like, oh my God, I got to spend 5 or 10 minutes out there cleaning my car. You don't have gloves. You want to make your coffee. You got to get gas. You've got to clean your car. You got to have a nice, suitable ice scraper to scrape that ice off, a brush to wipe off that car. Those things are extremely important because you have to be able to see when you're driving, and that's really important. There's some warning signs. There's a triangular shaped sign that is yellow, and you have a car on there with skid marks. This tells you that it is a hazardous condition before getting on a bridge, going around a curve. You need to reduce your speed. Tread depth is very important. Consider your tires like the bottom of your gym shoes or your walking shoes. If your tires are worn down, you're going to slide. You want to use the head of a quarter to put into the tread. And if you see the head, then you know you need to get that tread taken care of and get a new tire. Bad brakes. If you can't stop in an appropriate distance, you're going to lose control of your vehicle. It could cause you to skid. Usually, if your front pads are worn out, you'll have a shaking or vibrating when you drive and hit your brakes. Your pads could be worn out. Your rotors could be warped. They might be able to take them off, put them into a lathe, and as the blade turns, it scrapes off some of the metal to get a flat mating surface. After 2 or 3 turns of the rotors, you're going to need new rotors and new pads. I do have a video on that. It is very expensive, so you want to have good maintenance and be able to stop. That's really important. Avoiding ice or snowy conditions. You want to increase your following distance. Don't tailgate cars. I call it have good speed, have good space, and have a smile. You know, adverse conditions can be very overwhelming and cause driver anxiety. You've got to take your time. You want to make sure you have about 1/4 of a tank of gas and perhaps top it off. You want to use your rear mirror more. You should be checking your rear mirror, right? Looking behind, just checking to see a car's coming up too fast. Am I going to get rear-ended? Am I going to get knocked off the road? You're going to have to drive at a slower pace. It might take you 15 minutes to get home. It's going to take you a half an hour. So prepare for that. Be patient. We talked about this, avoid jerky movements where you're jerking the wheel because you're going to upset the balance of the car on that road surface. Brake early. If you've never been in hazardous conditions, rain, snow, fog, ice, it takes you longer to slow down. People are driving 55 or 60 or 70, even faster. And because people have higher performance vehicles today, they're driving faster today. Reduce your speed, slow down sooner, Accelerate lightly. Don't hit that gas real fast because you'll spin. Vehicle controls are lacking. Road conditions, potholes, leaves on the road, roads that are not treated by the Road County Commission could be in a point where you could lose control. Potholes, they could damage the rim of your tire. Let's pretend this is your tire. If you hit a pothole, it's going to compress, just like I'm pressing this, it's going to compress this surface. And there's metal in here. And if you hit the pothole hard enough, it's going to squeeze that rubber down and it's going to split the tire. And if the tire is split, you'll lose control. You'll have a rapid deflation of your tire, and then you could lose control. And there's washboard surfaces that go up and down. You want to be very careful on those. Dirt and sand could also cause you to lose control of your vehicle. Drive in the grooves of the road. If you drive out of the groove to the right, your car is going to be pulled to the right. You drive out of the groove to the left, the car will be pulled out to the left. So you got to stay in that groove, really important. Standing water, also very dangerous. You want to drive to the edge of the standing water, and then you want to hit your brakes a moment to heat them up and get heat in the rotor, and that will allow that water to heat up. Snow and ice, we have an ice storm right now. They advise people not to drive. Afternoon, evening events are canceled unless they're very important. So if your schedule's that tight, you're going to have to say, hey, I can't drive tonight. I won't be able to come to the bar mitzvah. You want to take your time and prepare for these things. Wet leaves can also cause you to slide. So all of these hazards, I'm going to review again: potholes, washboard surfaces, snow and ice, standing water, sand and dirt, wet leaves will cause you to drift out. Errors that can affect traction, jerking the steering wheel. We talked, if you jerk the wheel too hard or you're over aggressive, you're going to upset the balance. Don't jerk the wheel. Rapid acceleration, you're hitting that gas too hard. This is why you got to become one with your vehicle, connecting to your steering wheel, your gas and brake pedal, and really smooth. Be very deliberate with your control of your vehicle. Extremely important. Rapid braking and slippery conditions, you're going to lose control. You're going to go off the curve into the ditch. I've posted some videos about some things you need to have in the vehicle: tow rope, gloves, flashlight, a high energy candy bar, warmer clothes, just in case your car's in the ditch and then you have to travel to let someone know. Controlling consequences. Let's go ahead and talk about this. A vehicle skid, a driver loses control of, they lose control of speed and direction. You always want to look where you're going. If my car is skidding, I want to look around the road and where I'm going. If I look at the wall, I'm going to hit the wall. Look where you want to go. Very important. There are different types of skids. There is a braking skid where you hit the brakes too harsh or too hard, you skid out or skid in. There is a power skid. This is done deliberately where you hit that gas and you're burning rubber and your car's fishtailing. I know some of you like that. And then cornering skid. This is where you have too much speed. Usually this is for beginning drivers. You have too much speed going in and you lose control. That's one of the most common. Slow your speed before you get into the curve. Very important. When veering off the road in an emergency situation, there is no guarantee you won't lose control of your car. You want to hold the steering wheel firmly. If there's a deer out there, you never veer for the deer. Unfortunately, we're going to have to hit the deer. The deer could jump to the left, jump to the right, could come into the vehicle. If you veer, you're going to lose control of your car. So don't veer for the deer. Don't panic. Sudden jerky movements, you're jerking the wheel left or right, you're going to upset the balance of the car. You're going to veer right, you're going to veer left. Smooth, easy braking movements are always very important. Don't brake or accelerate rapidly. Be smooth, be gentle into your approach. Prepare for certain situations. Return to the pavement one wheel at a time. If you overturn the wheel, you could have the tires dig into the soft pavement and actually roll the car over. So you want to get on one wheel at a time. The front driver, the rear driver, the rear passenger left, and then you get the fourth tire on. So go on to those movements very slow. I'll demonstrate some of those. When the vehicle heads toward the wrong lane, you want to counter steer, but not oversteer. If you oversteer, the rear of the car is going to spin to the left or spin to the right. This is bringing you value. Give it a thumbs up. When veering, you want to grip the wheel firmly, right? Take your time. You do not want to panic. If you panic, you're going to lose control. You're going to crash. Don't brake or accelerate rapidly. It could be a smooth tap of the accelerator. That's bit that accelerator, or a smooth tap of the brake. One wheel at a time. I want to say thank you, and hopefully you enjoyed this. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Look at my other content, and I really appreciate you. I want to say thank you, and be safe out there. Bye, guys.